Welcome to Poetry Community Christian School's teacher training. Once again, to log into Sycamore, you'll need our school ID of 1887. You'll need your teacher login, which was sent in a separate invitation, and your teacher password. As families, we never access our teacher side and vice versa. There's good and ethical reasons for that, so just use your family side when you need to do things regarding your individual student, and then use the teacher side when you are acting in the role of a teacher. You'll see that the initial page opens just the same as the family side, and all of these tabs are the same. Don't pay attention to these extra tabs I have here. That's because of my super user status. You'll have basically the same tabs that you had before on the family side. News, calendar, documents, photos, all that's the same, although you see you don't have icons over here anymore for your students. You do have a new box here for your pass-a-notes. You'll see them all actually lined up here. I have mine turned off so they don't pop up on the screen, and that's what I'd recommend as a teacher. You don't want sensitive information popping up while you're trying to teach. You can just click on a pass-a-note and open it up. Again, if you're finished with it, you can close it, or if you think it's something important and you want it to come back again, just X out and it'll remain up here. A handy little function too is there's a drop-down box here of all the staff. So if you need to pan Mrs. Horan, for example, she's right here in the drop-down box, and you don't have to go through all of those other tabs that you do on the family side to find her. What we're going to do today is look specifically starting at My School. If you go to My School, you'll see a list of My Classes. This will bring up a list of all the classes that you teach, and you can see a bunch of my karate classes here, as well as some general classes. And I do want to point out this faculty staff class. All the teachers are listed in here, and we have specific articles related to teachers. For example, if you need a substitute, how you would get a substitute, what our policy is regarding that. And there's also some important documents here. Again, don't forget the All Documents tab. There's some things here that are accessible only to teachers, such as confidential staff and faculty meeting information. There might be information about Link Lab students that might need special testing, which how you do that again is you refer those students to Jane. You don't say anything to the family yourself, but the communication protocol is right here. And then students eligible for modifications, a confidential document is right here. So you can access all this from your faculty staff page. When you're finished with a particular classroom, you have two ways to move around. You can either close the class and you'll get back to that listing, or you have a handy-dandy drop-down box over here that shows all of your classes and let you go back and forth between classes. So we're going to go to the training class. This is a brand new class that's never been used before, so I'm going to walk you through how to set that up. Again, the classroom is just a mini version of the school, but you'll see there are no articles here because this is your classroom page. So if you would like to create a news article, just click on All News and then New Article. Give it a headline. If you have a photo that you've uploaded that you want to include or any links, you can do that. And then you can type whatever you want here. You can determine the status, whether you want it to be a top story or a current story. And then you can request it for top level exposure, which would put it at the school level if it was something that pertained to the whole school. But in this case, we're just going to leave it at regular level. And then when you look at your class home, you'll see there's your news article. If you click on the blue, you can read the article. If you go back to All News, you have a little pencil here, and you can edit it if you like, update it, delete it, whatever you'd like to do. Under Calendar, again, you can create events for your specific students. So, for example, if I want to put something on the first day of school, that would be an event, and we're going to have a get to know you mixer, for lack of anything else. You can add that, and then it'll be, or it should be, on the school calendar. Oh, I put it today. Here it is over here. I meant for it to be on the first day of school, so let's just change that and update it, and now you'll see it's here on the first day of school. Documents, all documents. You can upload a document. Just choose what file you want. And you can upload that file. Just going to take a minute here. And there it is. Then you have the options. If you'd like to highlight it on your home page, you can do that. Again, you can check what level of access you would like, and so on. In this case, I'm going to highlight it on my home page. You can also make folders. And you can then slide these documents into the folder that you would like them in if you'd like to organize your folders. And now if you look in this required forms, there's that document there. So just like on the school level, you can make all the different folders you need and put all the documents where you'd like to put them. Because I highlighted this on the front page, you can also see it here on the front page so kids can find it a little easier. If you want to put in photos, again, all photos, the first thing you have to do is create a new album. You can call it whatever you'd like. And then you can click on the album and you can upload photos from there. You'll notice here there's a list of the teachers in the class. Your kids can pan you from right there. And then there's also a list of the students that are in the class, and you'll see there's the ability to pan an individual student. The school does allow us to pan students for school-related information, and if it's something that pertains to the entire class, we recommend what you do is pan the entire class together. And the way you can do that is if you go to Communication, Pass a Note, you have an option for students, and you can blast a note to all the students and they'll all get it. Or if it's for the parents, you can click the Family tab, again check the ones you want, and blast a note from there. You could do an individual family also, again by clicking the little envelope. If you just want to send it to the individual family, you can do it from there. If there's ever any question about whether or not you should be communicating something with a student, then check with administration or copy the parents into the conversation, and that way we want to be very transparent when we communicate with our kids. Okay, what most teachers are very interested in is how to make assignments and set up their classrooms, so let's talk about that first. First, we're going to look at the teacher's desk regarding taking attendance, and I have to change this to the first day of school here. And you'll see all these little boxes that will allow you to take attendance. Now notice they default to all checked. If a student is absent, just uncheck them. Do not worry about the tardy, the excused, or the unexcused. We do not determine that in the classroom. Either they're present when the bell rings or they're not. If they show up late to class, then you'll send them to the office. The office will determine if the tardy is excused or unexcused, and then give them an admit slip to come back to your class. Once you've finished taking attendance, click Submit Attendance, and that will go to the office. We do want to take attendance in the first 10 minutes of every class period. So whether it's first period, second period, third period, and so on, we take it every class period. The only exception is because math in the elementary is first and second period, you only have to take it at the start of first period. We don't, as a school, do anything with the lunch order tab. You can use the seating chart, especially if you're a new teacher. This is kind of handy because it gives you faces for all the kids that are currently or were enrolled last year that we have pictures for. And you can print this out if you like. You can also slide these kids around into the configuration of your classroom, however that might be, and then when you update it, they update it, and then you do have the option to print it out, and you can put it on your desk and help you to learn the kids' names, or have it available if there is a substitute and you want to make sure all the kids sit where they're supposed to be. Don't worry about the utilities tab, the textbook manager, the volunteer manager. That's not something that you need to take care of do within your classroom. You just need to know which kids have which textbooks. Most teachers do that on a paper chart. Under instructional, curriculum manager, syllabus, you'll see there's a sample syllabus loaded into Sycamore, and we do require that every single class, whether it's elective, sports, PE, core, doesn't matter, every class needs to have a very basic syllabus. You'll notice this is very short. What we're looking for is the name of the class, your name, how to get in touch with you, a very brief description of the course, what your objectives are, any course requirements, and how you grade. This can be one page. We do not need all of your lesson plans here. If you have something in a Word document, you can bring your own document in by clicking that edit button. You can either change what's here, put your name here, and then update, and you'll see that my name's now there. Or there's also a feature here. This button right here is to paste from Word. So you can copy a document from Word using the Control-C command and then hit Control-V, and it'll insert your document right into here and allow you to update your syllabus. Don't usually worry about the Schedule tab here. If you do have specific classroom policies, this is a good place to put them to cover yourself. For example, as a karate teacher, I have a uniform policy, and I do mark down if kids don't wear their uniform. So I explain it to them the first day of class. I send it home so parents are aware, and then I keep it in the policies tab so that if a parent ever asks me, why was my kid marked down? I didn't know about this. They had access to this information. And so that helps protect you just a little bit. If you create online tests, and I'll show you where to do that in just a moment, they'll be available here. And if you choose to use Dropbox, which is a way for students to submit their homework electronically, your Dropbox is here. And again, I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. The Lesson Plan tab allows you to create very detailed lesson plans if you choose to do that. And you can put in your objectives, what resources, what homework, so on and so forth. I don't personally use them because I don't need them for karate, and the school does not require us to use them. If you are interested, I'd encourage you to just play around with it and see whether or not you like it. If you have questions, someone who uses them a lot is Vicki Perez, and she could probably help you troubleshoot any problems you might have with lesson plans. Now let's talk about your grade book. Before you can make assignments, you need a configured grade book. And you'll notice it defaults to all assignments worth 100%. But usually, unless you're doing something like a PE class where you just have a weekly participation grade, you're probably going to want to divide this out a little bit more. So if you click on multiple categories right there, you can change these. And I'm going to tell it what order I want these to list, although you don't have to. I just like things to look a certain way. Change the value, and I'm going to call this one Bible Work and update it. Then by hitting the plus key, I'm going to make this one 40% also, and I'm going to call this one participation. And now I'm going to hit the plus key again. Oops. And I'm going to call this one and one more time. And you'll notice that the total is now 100%. Now when I create assignments, I can determine what categories they go in. The next thing that I do is I configure groups. And I configure my groups the exact same way as my categories. And I'm going to show you why you do this in just a moment. And this is completely optional. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to one of my karate classes so you can see a class that's all set up already and why I do this. If you use the assignment groups, you see here how this says Bible work, participation, required forms, and testing. And all of my Bible work assignments are together in one group. All of my participation grades are together in one group, and so on. If you don't create groups, then these assignments will just be listed in date order. So it'll say week 1 participation, then it'll say week 2 participation, then it's going to say first Bible worksheet, then it's going to say week 3 participation, week 4 participation, week 5 participation, second worksheet, and so on. I don't like it to look like that. I prefer it to be organized in groups. It's entirely optional. You can do it either way you like. But you do have to have the categories in order to grade that you do under this configuration. So configuration for categories, assignments tab for groups. If you teach multiple classes that are the same, for example, you teach 2 Connect classes that are the exact same classes that are going to have the exact same assignments, then configure all of your grade books and all of your groups first. That way, when you create assignments, you can just copy them from one class to the other. If you don't configure first, then the assignments will not go into the proper categories, and you're going to have to click each and every one to fix it, and that's a lot of extra work you don't want to do. As an aside also, if someone has taught this class before, and this is your first time teaching it, you may find that there are assignments in the Future tab. Every year when we close out Sycamore, they roll over last year's assignments to this year's assignments. And if you want to use these as a roadmap, you can. If you don't like what's here, remove it. If you like some of it, but you want to change it, then change it. It's entirely up to you. You'll notice these dates are all weird. Sometimes they roll over weird. For some reason, they're all in 2017. If you go into Gradebook Reports, there is this Classroom Assignment Maintenance tab, and you can actually go through and update all of these at once rather than having to do them one at a time. And when you look back at your assignments in the Future tab, you'll see that it fixed those 3 that I fixed. Now back to the training class. If you're ready to make an assignment, just click New Assignment. Choose what category it goes in. Now I only set up one group, so it's only going to give me the one option. So for this one, I'm not going to use a group. And you can add the assignment. And you'll see it added it to the current tab. Now if I don't want it in current, I can do a couple of things. I can open it up and I can change it to future and just update it. And you'll see it's now in the future tab instead of the current tab. I don't even have to open it though. I can just checkbox it, use this drop down box, and move it to current. kids only see what's in the current tab or things that are in the graded tab that have been posted. We don't like to put more than 2 weeks of assignments in any particular class at a time because it's just too much for the kids to look at. If you put in 5 weeks of assignments and the next class puts in 5 weeks of assignments and so on, it just makes a huge long list on the student dashboard. So we require 1 week and we limit it at 2 weeks. And the nice thing about putting in 2 weeks of assignments is that if you don't get to grading it right away, you're still ahead of the kids, and so you're still within school guidelines. They do ask us to post grades at least once a week, and I'll show you how to post momentarily. But again, if you have 2 weeks of assignments, and so you don't get to posting all 2 weeks right away, you'll still be okay if you do it on the weekend because they'll still be a week ahead of these kids. So how do you grade? Just hit the grade tab. If everybody did great on this assignment, you can just hit autofill. Notice they'll all get 100. If one child didn't do well, you can just change that one grade and then update. Now notice this is still in the current tab. Kids can't see these grades yet. Once you've graded it, while you're in here, if you want, from right here, you can change it to graded. And then after action, post the grades and hit update. And these grades are now in the posted tab, and kids can actually see these grades. And I'll show you from the student view how they'll see that. But if you go to gradebook and grade summary, you can also now see these kids all have an A, except this one here has a C- because they didn't do well on this assignment. You can see the only grades we have so far are participation grades because we haven't had any Bible work or required forms or testing grades. There's also a grade overview tab, and obviously when you have more grades, these will come across, and it's just another way to look at it. A nice thing about the grade overview or the grade summary tab is you can go into an individual student, click on them, and all of your assignments will be listed here. So if you have multiple grades to change at one time, for example, a student enrolls partway through the semester and you want to excuse them from all the early assignments so they don't start with a 0 in your class, you could open up that individual student, excuse all those early assignments so they start on the same footing as everyone else. Let me talk about one other thing in grading here. Oops, wrong place. Need to go to the grade tab. There's a status bar here, and statuses are very important. If you mark an assignment as excused, that means you don't expect that assignment from that student at all. It didn't pertain to them for one reason or another. And it won't count in their grade if you mark as excused. Absent means simply that they were absent. And again, it won't count against them. Only use the absent tab if you don't want that assignment. So for example, it was something in class, they can't make it up, and you don't ever need it. If it's something you want to get, use the missing tab. And we're going to go ahead and mark this missing. And I'm going to update. And again, I need to post so that we'll be able to see what that looks like. When you mark it as missing, it shows up on the student dashboard and it counts as a 0. And that way it motivates the student to get that assignment in. If you mark something late, the reason we use that, again, is for a paper that you've received that you have, but you've marked down, and so parents can see that that was a late assignment. And I'm going to update that again also so you can see how that works. So if you want to see how something looks on the student's side, you can click on the student name. This is the one we gave the missing assignment to. Here you can see the basic information about the student, any notes, any important documents. For example, you want to know how they scored in science last year because you're teaching them science this year. If you look at their grades, though, you can see they have an F in this class, and this is what the parents and the students see. And if you open that up, you can see that they're missing. This pink shows missing or late assignment. You can also see their schedule, just like you can on the family side. Let's go back to this general tab. There's a view here that says family view. If you click that, now this dashboard should look familiar to you from the family side. And you'll see, though, that this student has a missing assignment. So again, this will motivate them to get that assignment in order to improve their grade. The student that did the assignment, that it was just late, again, we look at their family view. There's nothing here, only missing assignments show here. But when we look at the grades, we see she has a B, and then we can see again that that was a missing or late assignment. You can also copy assignments. Again, if you checkbox it, hit Copy to Classroom, this will open up a window and allow you, you'll only show your particular classes. I can see all the classes, so don't worry about that. But it would open up a window and you can say, I want to copy it, for example, to this Grab Your Tools class. If I checked it and hit copy, this assignment would go over to there. You also have a copy button from within the individual assignment, and it brings up the same window. So what I do as a karate instructor, I set up one class, configure all my grade books, and then I copy all the assignments from that one class I set up to all my other classes, and it's done in one easy step. Under the Communication tab, you can set up flash news for your class, just like on the home page. If you go back to the class home, now this should be scrolling, but for some reason my computer doesn't scroll, and I don't know why, but if you did that, it would be scrolling on your computer. Here's Pass a Note. Again, we already looked at that. Another important function for teachers to communicate is this Batch Email tab. If you hit Compose, and Update, and then if you click on Recipients, now right now it just defaults to going to the teacher and to the principal, but if you hit Add Recipients, for example, I can add the students. Now all the students are in the email also, and I can add the parents if I want. And if I don't want 2 or 3 parents to get it, I can just delete them and then close it out, but then go back to your drafts, and there it is. You can see the 37 recipients that are getting it, and once you hit send, off it'll go. I don't actually want to send this, so I'm going to delete it, and it's gone. You have a pending history, just different ways to get into it. You can email the parents by checking them all and then hitting Compose, email the students by checking them all and then hitting Compose, or emailing the teachers in the class, which is just this case just me, and hitting Compose. Under Administration, you won't have all of these tabs, but you do have a Reports tab, and there are some cool reports in here. One of the ones that a lot of the teachers like, for example, is the student birthdays that are in your class. You also have the ability to make mailing labels, get all their email addresses. You actually have a dynamic student report that you can just put what you want to show up on the report by clicking the boxes. And so if I would like the student's first name, their date of birth, and their gender, I can generate the report and get that and then print it out. And you even have the option in that dynamic report to do it as a comma-separated value report, and then that will export out to Excel if you need that for any reason. One other report that I really like, and this is very good for teachers that don't have access to a computer for taking attendance. Again, those PE classes come to mind. If you do the student checklist right here, you can actually change the title to attendance and then hit print, and you get a paper checklist that you can then print out and use that to take attendance on or to keep track, again, keeping track of your textbooks or whatever else that you might want. There's also an online checklist that you can do. Don't remember where that is at the moment. There it is under communication. And you can create a new checklist and just title it. But basically it's a here or not here kind of thing. You just count the kids that have turned something in. So it's more like if you were trying to get back a permission form for something. I just personally found it easier to use a paper form. Okay, I'm going to go out of the class home for a moment because there are some other important tabs here that the teacher side has that we need to look at. Here's a list of all your students that are enrolled in your classes, not just in one particular class, but in all of your classes. We don't do anything with the service logs here. You'll report parent-partner hours if you're a parent also on the parent-partner side. You can get to my lesson plans, but here's important is my discipline logs. This is how we notify the office of a problem. And you click in that box to get the student information. We do a progress alert if a student is scoring under 70 in the class or under 80 on any given test. Once you're all done with it, hit send blip to all discipline managers. We do not send PANs to the family or send PANs to the student. This is done at the office level to decide what to do regarding this and who gets notified. So just click submit once you're done and then close. Now notice you don't see anything here. Sycamore doesn't update till you go out and go back in. So then you can see it here again if you need to see it. So any discipline you can do from there, just click new log, type in the student's name, click on the student, and then whatever the violation is. My time card, if you're getting paid by the school on an hourly basis, just click on the day that you're working, fill in the hours, select the class, select the task, how many hours it was, hit submit. Don't ever hit submit time card though. We don't do that. The time card secretary will take care of that. Under my organizer, this is a nice feature under my documents. If you have documents, if you just teach one class, you can upload documents to the individual classroom like I showed you. The thing about that though is those documents stay with that class. You're not able to access them if you stop teaching that class. So for example, if you teach art this semester, but then a new teacher is going to teach it next semester because you'd like to teach something else this semester, any documents that you put over there are going to go to that new teacher. However, if you put things in My Documents, then what you can do is share them with your individual classes, and these documents stay with you forever. So once you have a document, if you click on the document details, the individual document details, I'm not going to go through these steps right now because Sycamore is having a little bit of a glitch, which is requiring you to come in through Gmail, and they're working on fixing that. So I will put out an updated how to share documents. Once they get that fixed, I'll put in an updated PowerPoint on that. Here's where you go if you want to change your password under My Organizer. That's again on the teacher side. Don't need to do anything under My Accounting. My Resources, this is where you'd upload photos. We don't do the documents here. And if you try to, it'll even show you that this page doesn't work anymore. It's now under My Documents here. This, however, is where you do your online tests. You can create a new test, make that test, and then it'll be available in that classroom. You can do communication from here, batch email or blogs, the same pass a note options. Now let me show you how that online test looks by going into a class that I know has them. Just give me one moment here. And if you go to his online test tab, oh, I thought he had some in here. He might have taken them out because he's making new assignments. And then Dropbox, you can see where kids have Dropboxed information to him from last year. So that's a brief overview of the teacher side of Sycamore, how to create news, how to create assignments. Again, if you have any questions, just pan me. Do that from right up here. Type my name in. I'll be happy to help you. Once again, welcome aboard. We're happy to have you.